Podcast 4, Stu.
All right, moving along.
1,000 calories. 1,000 calories. The point here is 1,000 calories, what it means to you, both the intake and the outtake. So spend a second on this, because you and I were together a few weeks ago, and we were working on pushing my workouts to 1,000 calories as a measure.
Right.
And that was fascinating to me.
It's kind of an arbitrary number, to be honest with you. I mean, if you go in and burn 500 calories, that's great. 1,000 calories is just a good goal to set up, right? And here's the reason why I say 1,000 calories. I recently wrote an article about 1,000 calories. 1,000 calories are going to kill us or save us. And if you think about it that way, Americans typically eat more than 1,000 calories per day than they need to, right? So I think one of the latest statistics was, anywhere between 3,500 and 3,800 calories a day, the average American eats, right? So now that's mostly males. Women quite don't eat as much, and that they don't need as much, but there's some argument in that number. So I try to put a broad range on it. But regardless, typically, there's 1,000 calories overeaten per day by us, right? And we're leading the world in that. So
that is amazing to me.
Yeah. And now another problem is if you were to burn 1,000 extra calories, right, we would start going the other direction. Instead of a country gaining weight every year, we would start actually losing weight every year, which would be really nice. So it's been one of my goals to try to focus on weight loss. And here's why. Because, I write about military, law enforcement, and firefighter fitness. And 1,000 calories could save a lot of, 1,000 calories less and 1,000 calories more burned could save a lot of people a lot of headache as they try to enter into these professions and stay in these professions, because a lot of them get kicked out because they fail the height weight standards. A lot of them don't make it into the military or law enforcement or firefighters because they don't meet the height weight standards. In fact, back in your day and my day, the number one reason why people couldn't join the military was either they didn't finish high school or they had a criminal record. The number one reason now is because they don't meet the height weight standards.
And Stu, it's even an issue. I have a buddy who just gave up the JAG job down at the sub base in Groton, and he tells me there's still an issue in the sub community of being able to maintain the height weight standard, because as you know, there's not a lot of ability to train really well while you're deployed on a sub. And boy, it's tough.
Yeah, it is tough, but there is, if you can't train as hard as you would like, you also don't have to eat as much as you wish, right? You can actually try to taper some of that down. And that's a problem. Like a lot of us, especially if you were an athlete, when you were growing up, you ate a certain way. It didn't matter if you ate 35 to 4,000 calories because you were burning off 2,000 or 3,000 calories every day, and you wondered why you weren't gaining weight because you're eating so much. Well, you're working out hard all the time, right? Well, post-college, when you no longer are that active, right, guess what happens? You're going to still have those eating habits, and then it's going to slowly creep on up. It's going to creep up to you as like 2 pounds a year, 2 pounds a year. Next thing you know, some guys gain 5 pounds a year. Just between the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays, most people gain 3 to 5 pounds a year. So, you do that every year, it snuck up on you. 10 years later, you're 50 pounds overweight, right? So anyway, this whole thing about 1,000 calories is what I try to do is first get people to realize what a calorie is, right? And so you got to think as food and calories as work, because it really is. It's really a unit of energy, right? So every time you eat, that's energy for you to go do something. It's energy for your body to live, which is typically 2,000 calories a day just to survive as a male, right? And about 15 to 1,800 calories a day to just survive as a woman. Your body needs that many calories a day to function normally and not gain weight. So if you just ate 2,000 calories a day for a man, right, and didn't do anything else, you would not gain weight. However, any extra calories over that is going to get stored, right? And it's going to get stored as fat. Now, let me just show you what a calorie is, right? We got some great props here for this one. All right, so this is a little bag of Cheetos, right? If you can see it against my face, it's about a small bag of Cheetos.
Bag, Stu.
Right?
That is a little bag.
These things are disgusting, right? You could eat one of these in about 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
150 calories, okay? 150 calories in this,
Yeah.
right? Well, guess how long it takes to walk off that bag of Cheetos?
I'm going to guess 30 minutes.
Hey, good. So you know that 100 calories of walking takes about 20 minutes. 100 calories of dancing takes about 17 minutes, right?
Okay.
100 calories of bowling. You could even burn calories while you're bowling, 30 minutes. 100 calories of walking up and down steps, 11 minutes. Now, the reason why that is you're working more muscles, harder, by walking up. And the bigger muscles you work, the more calories you're going to burn, right? Running, 8 to 10 minutes. If you run fairly fast, you can burn 8 to 10 minutes. I try to get on the see how fast I can burn 100 calories. And if you do it on a bike or elliptical or treadmill, you just try to max it out, right? See how fast you can burn 100 calories. And it's like sprinting a mile, because when I try to burn 100 calories, I can do it in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
Right? But I'm putting out, I'm at least running 8 to 9 miles per hour, to try to do that. And I'm huffing and puffing, I'm burning it out. But what that does for me is when I leave that treadmill in 6.5 minutes, I realize I just burned off this, right? Roughly, not even this, right?
Yeah, really.
So, or a cookie, typical cookie is about 100 calories.
Yeah, that was the amazing thing to me is when we were standing there and you showed me that cookie and said, guess how long it's going to take to burn off if we eat one of those cookies.
Right. And like I'm huffing, puffing, sweat pouring out of me, just put out hard for about 6-7 minutes. And I roll off that treadmill and I say, that's one cookie down, right?
Yeah.
And so I start associating everything, especially crappy food, with work, right? Because that cookie requires me to put out pretty hard for about 6-7 minutes. Or if I'm walking my dog, right, for 20 minutes, I just burned off one cookie, right? And it's not much, a little cookie about this big, right? Now this, a little bit different, right? Yep. This apple here is about 80 calories, right? And the calories are pretty good because here's why. You have vitamins, you have minerals, you do have carbs, and your body's going to handle carbs a little bit differently than protein calories. But at the same time, a calorie is a calorie. And, if you eat, let's say you're trying to do a low carb diet, which is great. I don't have any problem with low carb diets. I have problems with no carb diets, right? Yeah. And if you're going to do a low carb diet, try to make it this way. Try to make it to where you are just avoiding all sugars and things that turn to sugar, right? So like sweets, snacks, drinks, sodas, Gatorades even have a lot of sugar in them. Breads and pastas, they actually just turn to sugar, right? If you can avoid those, right, and then focus on your carbs being fruits and vegetables, you're going to have a pretty good result in how your body is storing fat again, right? And at least lowering your caloric intake per day as well.
Stu, one of the more interesting things was when you and I were doing it, and we should just mention, for those of you that don't have an easy way of measuring your calories while you're working out, heart rate monitors and the apps on your phone with those will give you a really easy way to measure the calories, because that's how you and I were doing it the other day, is just based on my heart rate monitor. But one of the more interesting things was when you and I switched from the bike to the elliptical. and how the elliptical magnified the calorie burn at least 2 times in the same amount of time.
Yeah, if you're going to burn a lot of calories on a bike, you have to be like in a spin class or something,
Yeah.
right? Where they're, slave driving you, pushing you really hard to like a lot of resistance and standing up and pedaling. Other than that, if you're just riding and sitting down nice and easy, you're probably going to burn about as much as you're walking, right? It might take you about 15, 20 minutes to burn 100 calories.
Yeah,
However,
it's
you're
really, it's
standing up,
really
moving
interesting,
everything,
Stu.
pumping
I
your
think
arms,
it's
pumping your
important.
legs, you're going to burn more calories. That's why I like the elliptical.
I think
Yeah,
it
but you have
really,
to really pump that. You have to put that elliptical resistance up pretty high, right?
yeah.
So you got to put your body weight into every step to make that thing work. Otherwise, it's almost too easy, and you just kind of free fall through the pedaling.
But I tell you, if I know for myself, having that ability to see how many calories I've burned in a workout, and even during the workout, is to me just as important as knowing what my heart rate is at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing that now, right now. In fact, I'll go do a weight room workout for 3 or 4 sets, and then I'll take 100-calorie break, right, and then go back and do it again, right. So
Interesting.
instead of taking a 5-minute cardio break, I'm going to go burn 100 calories, right, and that can be 6 minutes on a treadmill. It
Right.
can be 15 minutes on a bike. It can be 6 or 7 minutes on the elliptical, whatever, right? And it's a good way to just keep the calories burning, right? Especially while you're mixing in some resistance training too, because here's the deal: you're going to burn a lot of calories, at high intensity, cardio, but you're going to burn even more if you're adding in resistance training too. So one thing that I like to do with you is you go through 2 or 3 sets of a workout,
Mhm.
maybe take 5, 6 minutes to go through 3 or 4 exercises, bench press, pull-ups, squats,
Yep.
3 times real fast. And then you take 5 minutes, or you can call it 100 calories and go on the cardio machine. And just, you're kind of resting your body or I should say resting your muscles so you can come
Yep.
back fresh, but you're working your heart too. So you're still burning calories. So it's just an active rest, really, if you think about it. But if you're really trying to put out and burn 100 calories as fast as you can, that's no rest. I mean, that requires a little gut check, because
It
it
does.
hurts, right? It is like trying to sprint a mile for time, and if you get a 5-minute mile, and you're not a runner or cross country guy, you're going to be puking on the other end of it. And you could pull yourself to puking if you're really competitive and trying to burn 100 calories as fast as you can. So you know it's a challenge. I just want to put it out there as everybody is do the 100-calorie challenge, because it works, and it's a great challenge. And you try to pick as many events as you can and see what it takes to burn 100 calories on a bike, on an elliptical, on a treadmill, running in your yard. If you have a heart rate monitor and a iPod, what do you use, the Fitbit or something?
I actually use Polar, but it works great.
Yeah.
Polar works great. I've used it for gosh knows how many years, and it's reliable. It's got a great app on the iPhone. Gives you the data you need. I think one of the things too that I know that I focused on a lot is the maintaining a view of what my heart rate's doing, because as you mature through your training, both and age-wise, you'll have two things happen. One, your heart rate, you have to be cognizant of what your heart's doing. As you've said to me a number of times, you even mentioned it in one of our early podcasts about heart attacks is a real issue for some tactical athletes. And being able to see what your heart's doing while you're stressing it in workouts is really important. And being able to see how quickly you recover, being able to see how high it goes and how it increases during the training. It becomes even more important the older that you get as a tactical athlete in your training.
Well, I agree 100%. And that's a great thing. I've had a heart rate monitor for years, and I use it, and I haven't used it in a while because if you use it enough, you kind of know, right? You kind of know, okay, this is my feeling. I'm running a 7-minute mile right now. I know my heart rate's around 130. I can maintain this for so long. It's, instead of looking at my watch all the time, I kind of feel it. It becomes almost like a inner, situational awareness, within your body of, how things feel, how your breathing rhythms are, what your heart rate is, it's just one of those things that, and it requires a heart rate monitor to kind of get there to that next one. It's almost like, if you're trying to learn your pace in running, you need to go to a track and pace that quarter mile out over and over and over again. And then you muscle memory this pace and you say, all right, I'm running a 90-second quarter. That means I'm running a 6-minute mile. This is what it feels like. This is my stride. This is my arm rhythm, arm swing rhythm. All that stuff comes into play and you just kind of feel it. So when you're running not on a track, on down the sidewalk or something, you can say, okay, I'm running about an 8-minute mile pace, nice and easy. Nothing's too bad. Let's pick it up a little bit and try to hit 7, right? And you can do that just from, takes practice, obviously. Can take years of practice even. But it's a fun way to, kind of have some awareness within your body. But like I said, if you're in the process of learning that awareness, a heart rate monitor is fantastic, and it's never a bad idea for me to go and put a heart rate monitor on and check things out normally, especially as we age, like you said.
Yeah, and that calorie count is just amazing, and watching that and how that changes based on what you're doing. So I would just encourage everybody to watch that because it really does help. Stu, why does Denise let you keep a bathroom scale in your kitchen?
Yeah, you know what? I put that in there for everybody, right? Not just me, right? And I put it right. We have this drawer that's full of snacks. I still have kids, so they come home, eat snacks. They can eat whatever the hell they want. They never gain weight. I remember those days. But now I look at food and I gain weight. So now what I do is I have my scale is in my kitchen. So I not only look at the scale and remind myself let me just stand on this thing and see where I am, right? Okay, maybe I don't need to eat that, right? And whether it's an apple or whatever, if you're hungry, you might need to eat it. But if it's just a snack that you're just, maybe you're just thirsty, get some water first before you do it. So that scale just reminds me, let me drink some water first. Let me see if I'm really that hungry. And I skip it. Especially if I'm trying to drop weight. And I'm trying to drop weight right now because I'm just finishing a weightlifting cycle where I picked up some pounds, and now I'm trying to get, slowly transition into the spring with starting a running progression cycle. And it is never fun when you're heavy and you're trying to start running again. It just sucks. Your whole body yells at you for at least a mile, right? And then it just hurts. So if I can be 10 to 15 pounds lighter when I go into my running cycle, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and Stu, you typically in this cycle you gain what, 15 pounds during the weight cycle, or is it not quite that much?
When I was younger, I would. However, as I have aged, I decided last year that I was not going to lift super heavy again this year because I got too heavy. I got heavier than I've ever been in my life last year, right? 6 feet, 6'1", somewhere around there, 225 pounds. I was strong, I wasn't fat, I was strong, and, deadlifts and squats, my legs were big, my butt was big, lower back, all those big major muscle groups were getting very strong because of deadlifts and power cleans, and still did bench press and pull-ups and weighted pull-ups. So everything just got big, and then when I was running, I started running in the spring, my legs were rubbing together. I got chafing, it's just everything hurt too. My knees hurt, my shins hurt. And I was like, okay, this is messed up, and so I could do one or two things. I could just screw the running and just stay big, right? Which a lot of people do, right? I, however, also went to the doctor, and it was the first time ever my blood readings were bad, higher triglycerides, higher cholesterol, right? And so I said, all right, I'm not going to get on any medication to do this. So I just dropped it. So I'm actually now 20 or 15 pounds lighter than I was last year at this time, which has helped tremendously as I start to increase my running now. Nothing hurts. 15 pounds from 225 to 210, it's a big difference. Now, my ultimate goal by the time this running cycle finishes is to be under 200 for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome. That would be a great goal for many, Stu.
Yeah.
There's a good resource place that you pointed folks to that Harvard Medical School has that shows an exercise list that goes through and talks about actually it was the data that you were giving. It is just fascinating to go through and look at the various exercises but for the folks that don't know, there is a link in Stu's article on the 1,000 calories that does point you to that Harvard Medical School exercise list.
Yeah, and all that exercise list is just research done on activity. What burns 100 calories, period. And it's got, 100 different activiets?
It's amazing.
I mean, just sitting down, you can burn 100 calories. It takes a couple hours. You're going to burn calories, like I said, just living.
I'm an expert at that. I've become almost world class at that. Yeah. Well, look, how do you want people to get involved, Stu?
Well, first of all, go check out that 1,000 calorie diet and start focusing your day every time you eat something with work, right? And, I wrote another article called the ABDs of nutrition, and it stands for the after, before, during a workout. And it helps you, once again, have better fuel in your body, a list of great foods in there to have better fuel for your body to do your day's activities, work out, and recover from that workout, because your meal today is your workout energy tomorrow, right? So consider it that way. The food is energy, right? And your workout will burn off that energy. And, if you have, at the end of the day, you can burn off more calories than you consumed, you're going to see weight loss.
The other thing too, not to elongate this too long, because we like to keep these to between 20 and 30 minutes. But watching you over the years, you think of food as energy. You personally do.
Yes.
You don't think of food the way a lot of people think of food, Stu. They think of food as tasting good and being a treat, and you don't think that way. Now, I don't know whether you started that way, whether you entered the world that way or not, but I mean, as I've known you for 20 something years, and we've worked together. We did a bunch of stuff together where it was intense. We were together all day long. We'd eat 3 meals together, and I swear you don't think about food, and which is a healthy thing. And I think if more people could think about food the way you think about it, that would be.
I don't know if it's a habit. I don't know if it's habit or if it just started that way. But I love good food. Don't get me wrong. Like if I have a choice, I will eat a steak on a grill.
Yeah.
With some asparagus and broccoli and a salad and a potato any day, right? However, if I don't have that, really doesn't matter. I'm definitely not a sweet.
Right.
I don't like a lot of sugars. I grew up in the South, so I remember sweet tea, right? And I grew up on sweet tea, right? So, and, once I was old enough to drink tea, but, in my early teens, drinking sweet tea. And when I moved up north to Maryland, where they don't serve sweet tea at every restaurant, it's all unsweet tea. Guess what happened? I quit getting cavities.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep. Quit getting cavities. Probably, dozen, 15 fillings, in my teens. And then throughout my 20s, I never had cavities again because I wasn't drinking as much sugar. So many reasons why you need to lay off sugar. One, I think it's going to kill us. And, the American average American, this is alarming statistic as well, and it's in that 1,000-calorie article, 80 grams of sugar a day.
Yeah, that's
The average American. Now, what's even more alarming, and this one scares me the most, children have 132 grams a day of sugar, right? And the recommended amount is to try to keep it under 50, right? If you can keep it under 50 grams a day, your body can handle that without producing too much insulin and, driving up and down your blood sugar spikes, and, you're feeling tired and lethargic, throughout the day during these blood sugar spikes. And, it's a good way to, to avoid, diabetes, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome. All of these things are what's killing us all. And it really has to do with sugar, to be honest with you.
1,000 calories, Stu. Podcast 4. That's it for today.
1,000 calories. Go check it out. There's a lot of articles I write for military.com, StuSmith.com, and StuSmithFitness.com. We actually have some beginner workouts as well on there. I have this 90-day workout plan that if you haven't done anything in a decade or more, or you're just a new person to fitness, it's a great way to start. So check it out.
All right, buddy.
Hey,
Later.
good talking to you, Tom. We'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good.